I think that many of you guys out there can relate. I wish I didn't care so much about politics, and I'm guarantee that that strikes a chord because I didn't used to care, and you didn't used to care. The question is, why did it suddenly become so important in everybody's life? Why is it that this is a topic of conversation that we always speak of, where when I was growing up, it was something you didn't talk about? How much money you made in politics. It was considered impolite. And unfortunately, the reason is because one side of the country has gone completely batshit crazy. I wish it wasn't the case because I used to be on that side. I grew up a Democrat. My family was very, very left-leaning, and the only Republican that I ever voted for was Arnold Schwarzenegger when I was younger in California for governor. That was, to the best of my memory, the only one. I almost voted for Mitt Romney versus Barack Obama. That was when I was starting to awaken, and I was kind of bemused when Trump won. I would have voted for the Libertarian candidate at that point rather than the Republican. But the last few years, are you kidding me? I'm going to have to bring up a few examples. But it used to be that the candidates were more centrist. They represented the will of the people. They weren't completely batshit crazy. Instead, you have candidates today that are advocating for transgender surgeries for minors. Do what you want to when you get older, but don't encourage kids to do it while you smack the cigarettes out of their mouth and tell them that they can't get tattoos, but encourage them to take puberty blockers, to get their breasts chopped off, to get their WAP, I don't even want to think about it, gone. What is this? What type of sickness in society is this? And America, it used to be a racist place back in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and back beyond that, I'm positive. And I guarantee you that there are still racists here. But I have to say, at this point, the majority of them are on the Democratic side. Oh, wait, that's the way it used to be. The founders of the KKK were Democrats. George Wallace, governor of Arkansas, was Democrats. But now they want to reduce you to an avatar. You have Ayanna Pressley come out and state,
because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up, because we need you to represent that voice.
and when you can reduce somebody's beliefs to their skin color, it becomes game theoretically correct to become somebody who judges people based on their color of skin, based on their race. To become a racist becomes a game theoretically correct position to take because you can predict people's beliefs and their actions. And it's antithetical to everything that Martin Luther King fought for, strived for. The whole liberal civil rights movement of equality has been thrown out the window by these nutbags. And it's not just Ayanna Pressley, it's people like Raphael Warnock.
No matter what happens next month, more than a third of the nation that would go along with this is reason to be afraid. America needs to repent for its worship of whiteness on full display.
People like Elizabeth Warren.
Race matters, and we need to say so.
And I fight against these impulses. I do not want race to become an issue. But now when I see Asian attacked, who do y'all think did it? Sad truth. I don't want it to be this way. But as the Democrats use identity politics to divide our nation, it becomes increasingly correct to assume the Asian attacker was, ? And since when did it become virtuous to try to take in the form of taxes or fines or whatever else what somebody else has earned, but it's considered greedy to want to keep what you've worked so diligently for? They put up roadblocks in terms of starting businesses and then invite attackers to go at your store. You have the vice president bailing out rioters in Minnesota with the Minnesota Freedom Fund so that they can go out there and do more damage. They actively encouraged the Black Lives Matter riots. This is a fact. Time magazine discussed it. And they say that it was mostly peaceful, and then they theoretically could have known that January 6th was coming, because what type of intelligence do you have that you don't anticipate this possibility? And Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C. said no extra security when Trump ordered it in or tried to offer it to them, 20,000 extra troops if memory serves. And now they've got their talking point that they keep hammering home to the electorate. January 6th, January 6th, something that could have easily been prevented. They lie about everything from Brian Sicknick, the officer in the Capitol riots who died of a stroke. They claim over and over again, including in Trump's impeachment. The New York Times, when the information was available the next day from local newspapers and media outlets, that he actually died of a stroke and not at the hands of MAGA rioters, and it was bad. It's not a good thing, that allegedly struck him over the head with a fire extinguisher. False, lies, horrible people that are using this as a political tool. How much more could I go on? I get called racist over and over again for stating such horrific things like two-parent families yield significantly better results than single-parent families do. Something that I think is rather obvious gets me called a racist. And as somebody who's traveled in 60 countries and lived in 7, and I state that America is the land of freedom and opportunity, and I get told that I am demonstrating my white privilege by uttering this sentence. These people know nothing about the rest of the world, have nothing to compare America to and the freedoms that are offered, and they bring up slavery over and over again, where America was one of the first countries next to Britain that got rid of it at great cost of capital, and keep bleeding like sheep about Islam and the virtues of Islam, and do not denigrate Muslims. And fine, no problem with that. They're individuals. And let's remember that Saudi Arabia had slavery until the 1960s. That is when they finally formally abolished it. And it still exists all over the Muslim world, including in Libya, where you can buy a sub-Saharan African slave on the slave market. And the word in Arabic, abid, means black and slave, because that is synonymous. Those two words, black, slave, abid. Okay, but they keep going and going and going and telling you that you're a horrible person, that you're the racist, when you just want to live your life in peace. When you say, don't take my children away from me, and usher them into this transgender prison. You have people that are moving from states like Washington, and I heard this today, that a Muslim, I think it was a Muslim man, that his son was autistic and brought to the hospital and he couldn't be there, and they determined that he was a girl. And when he realized that they might take his son away, and this is starting to happen, there are laws coming into the fold that are doing so, and you see it's happening in Canada after Jordan Peterson warned about this. Look, the point is that these people are completely off of their rocker, and they tell you that you're the bad person and try to convince you that if you vote against the crime and releasing criminals over and over and over again, a second chance, it's not a second chance, it's not a third chance, it's like a 10th chance, an 11th chance. Eventually you have enough of a resume to realize that you're going to be a career criminal, and releasing them onto the streets, maybe not the best idea. But they do, and they tell you that you're the racist for thinking otherwise. If you believe your lying eyes, you're racist. Racist, that word over and over again. Sorry, I'm ranting a little bit, but I didn't used to care about politics, but I have to today, because y'all have made me, because you have these Marxists coming in teaching critical race theory, teaching black children that they are victims based on the history of their people. Well, I'm half Jewish. What about my history? Do you think that blacks win in the oppression Olympics versus a race that was attempted to be annihilated on multiple occasions, most recently in the 1940s. You remember that little thing that might have happened in Germany where millions and millions and millions of Jews were slaughtered, and y'all want to play the victim card? Nobody should play the victim card. You do what you can with what you have, with the cards that you were dealt. And in America, you have the best opportunity to turn whatever you have in your hand, and you look down at your cards, into a royal flush. And not everybody is going to be Elon Musk, who came to the land of opportunity and made something spectacular out of himself. But you don't take away that possibility. You don't get the government involved and lecturing people and giving them stipends so that they can merely squirrel it away and do nothing with their lives and be reliant on the state. I want everybody to succeed. And at this point, America, the land of freedom, only if one party wins. The sanity party. That's what I'm going to call them. Team red, sanity. Team blue, insanity, representing everything that I discussed. Black Lives Matter, riots, all to get Donald Trump out of office. The most cynical play possible, calling him a fascist while you lock people down in their houses and say that you must get a vaccine that doesn't even fucking work. Especially for the young kids, which they want to mandate their vaccines before they go to school. And the only reason that they didn't in Washington, D.C. this year is because a large percentage of those students are black. And it would look really, really bad if you did that, wouldn't it, Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C.? These are cynical, ugly, evil people. In California, they want to, if you're a doctor and you speak out against the status quo, because we all know during COVID that the status quo, lab leak theory, oh, that's a racist thing. That you cannot speak out as a doctor or else they will strip you of your license. These people are freaking insane. They don't believe in the First Amendment. They want to take away your Second Amendment's rights, which is one thing that will protect you from government overreach. And this has happened time and time again in history, where they take the guns and then they lead you off to the slaughter. It happened in Nazi Germany. It happened in communist China. It happened in Cambodia. And I've been there. And you can still today pick the bones off of the ground and have a mini religious experience with death and the slaughter of these people that happened in the 1970s. Still exists. And it's sickening. And it's something that I believe that I don't want to experience again, but I think that everybody should. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to speak. And all of the blue team and the insanity that they offer our nation, if the Republicans, if the red team, if the sanity team doesn't win on Tuesday, hey, I don't know where you're going to go for freedom. I don't know what is going to uphold freedom against the central bank digital currency, except for maybe Bitcoin, which everybody should investigate. But that is the reality, that they want to control your life. They always know what is better for you. And good luck when you go to the gas station and you see those sky-high prices that didn't exist under Donald Trump, because the current administration wants to dissuade, to put it euphemistically, producers of oil from doing their job. You want to invest in renewable energy, into cold fusion, or even, hey, how about this, nuclear energy? That would be a good thing. But don't deprive people of the right to live and sacrifice them at the altar of some theoretically future poor people. That's why I'm so into politics. That's why I make these videos, and why I sit here and think about these things and listen to so many different opinions for hours every single day. And I want to drop that and spend more time with my kids, more time meditating and working out. And that's what I hope that I can do back to a pre-Barack Obama America, when America was riding high. I'm not saying it's all Barack Obama's fault or anything like that. I voted for the MFer 2 times. Kind of regret it now. But regardless of anything, I'm sick of politics. and I want sanity, and I want the opportunity to earn my money, take care of my family, and enjoy my life, and not have a bunch of ideologues telling me what I need to do and pressuring me by force, by taking away my rights to fall into line because they are our superiors. I'm sick of politics, and I'm sure many of you out there are. So leave me a comment with your thoughts and thumb up this video. And go Team Sanity on Tuesday. Peace.